Hey, this is Liqian. I'm a partner engineering manager from Microsoft. The project I'm working on is called Azure Kubernetes Fleet. It's a multi-cluster management system. And what Fleet does is that it helps you to manage hundreds of clusters, manage their configuration of the clusters themselves, and also it helps you to manage the workload on top of those clusters. How do you schedule workload statically or dynamically into multiple clusters seamlessly without changing each cluster individually? We started this as an open source project. The project is available in GitHub as Azure/Fleet. And when we started the project, we looked around to see whether there are existing offerings for multi-cluster workload management. We realized that the old KubeFed project was archived, and we also discussed with a few others who are also working on the multi-class space, like OCM and other projects. Then we realized there's not a really good killer application on open source yet for multi-cluster workload management. That's why we decided to start Azure Fleet as a new open source project. Then in that project, we actually tried to be consistent with the community as much as possible. We implemented the work API that is sponsored by SIG multi-cluster, and we also implemented a multi-cluster service API, service export and service import to stay consistent with the community. Then in addition to that, we feel that there's missing APIs in terms of how do we describe a cluster and its capabilities, and also how do we describe what's the policy to place a workload into multiple clusters. So we came up with new APIs like cluster API and also placement API to achieve that. Ryan from my team is actually actively involved in SIG multi-cluster. We are taking the cluster API we have and contribute back to the community. We are still discussing what's the exact shape of the API. Basically, it allows you to describe a cluster in terms of what's the name of the cluster and what are the capabilities, how much CPU memory the cluster has, also the labels of the cluster, so that this cluster API can be used in any of the multi-cluster applications. Like in Argo CD, you can you can refer to the clusters in terms of how to roll out your applications. Then also in multi-cluster queue, you can refer to the same set of clusters using the same API. The real goal we want to achieve is that we reach consensus on how do we describe a cluster in the community, such that all the multi-cluster offerings can use the same talk in the same language and speak in this cluster API language. Oh, I forgot to mention that basically the placement open source project we have can be used in any Kubernetes cluster. You can use it on-prem or any clouds. You can deploy the Fleet agents anywhere, and then it will help you to dynamically schedule workload into multiple clusters based on how many CPUs you have. You can say, I want to deploy to the clusters with the max CPU, or deploy to clusters with at least 100 CPU. It can also do that more dynamically. You can specify that I can deploy the workload to 3 clusters with the following 3 names, or based on labels. And everything is already, the things I have described is already achieved, but we definitely want more community contribution in terms of providing more properties of the classes. For example, how many GPUs we have in a given InfiniBand, and any other properties that might help you to schedule your own clusters. It's very pluggable. And also our scheduler is also very pluggable. You can provide additional plugins in our systems to customize how you schedule the workload to multiple clusters. We are in the process of donating the project to CNCF, so we definitely welcome contributions and also welcome to try it out in any of Kubernetes clusters you have.